Hi, friends, and welcome to Season 3 of the School Librarian Learning Network podcast. I'm Steve Tatro, often known as Dr. T Loves Books, and I love talking about all things related to school libraries. I'm an old dog who's always trying to learn new tricks. That's why in each episode of the SLLN podcast, I'll chat with a school librarian about a lesson, program, or activity they love. Hopefully, this can be a place for school librarians to get ideas and find new ways to engage with their students and staff. Speaking of which, I'd love to hear about what you and your friends are doing in your school library. Email me at drtlovesbooks@gmail.com. That's drtlovesbooks@gmail.com to tell me about what you're doing, offer feedback about the SLLN podcast, or to request a podcast sticker. As Amy Herman likes to say, being a guest on a podcast is a great way to show your admins you are engaged in meaningful professional development and leadership in the profession. So drop me a line and let's chat. That being said, the opinions and ideas shared in this podcast by myself and my guests are our own and do not reflect those of our school districts. I just like to geek out about school libraries. So without further ado, let's get to this week's episode. Hey everybody, I'm back. I've got a new friend. I'm very excited. I hopefully have a new BFF, which we'll see. This is all ties together, I promise. So before I make any more bad jokes, let me say welcome, Marcia. I'm so glad you can be here. Why don't you tell folks who you are, where you're at, and what you do?
Hi, my name is Marcia Kochel. I am in Decatur, Georgia. I've been a middle school librarian for many years. I've actually been in multiple states, but I've been in Georgia for the last 15 years. And I have been in middle schools, I think 26 of my 28 years in school libraries. So
yeah,
I've spent a lot of time in middle schools. Currently at a school called Druid Hills Middle School, which is in Decatur, Georgia. It's about 1,000 students. We're kind of at the crossroads of the county that we're in, which is very close into Atlanta. But it means we're extremely very diverse in a lot of ways. We kind of intersect the CDC and Emory University families with the Clarkston, Georgia refugee community and all kinds of kids in between. So we are literally 37 different languages spoken. We've got ESOL students. We have Spanish speakers. We have a lot of African American students. We have white students. So it's quite a mix. It's a mix economically, religiously, culturally.
Boy, that's an amazing melting pot you got going there.
It is, and it's nice because I think most of the schools around us are kind of one thing or the other, depending what sort of end of the county you're in. But because we're sort of in the middle, we have it all, and that's nice. We're a Title I school, but we have a real mix of people and a real racially diverse teachers and administrators too. So
that's awesome. Man, having the CDC right there is interesting. My town was the home for Bell Labs for a long time. So we had a very well-informed parent population for a very long time. And then they closed the labs and now our demographics are kind of in shift, but that's got to be really fascinating.
Yeah, it does contribute. Around us, there's all kinds of people that are public health experts and dealing with a lot right now, as you can imagine. Being a public health expert right now is a really hard time, but we have a lot of expertise around us in that area.
Oh, that's cool. Now, I'm kind of curious. How did you end up in school librarianship in the first place? What brought you to the library?
Well, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I graduated from college with a liberal arts degree. And I moved to Minnesota with a friend of mine. It was the early 90s and nobody had jobs. And we did temp jobs. She was a music major. I was an American studies major. I landed a job at a small publisher as an editorial assistant. And from that, I got a connection to a different publishing company. And I worked for this small husband-wife graphic design business, and they did design and layout of educational books. So I got a lot of computer skills, and I was able to sort of be the editorial assistant on books and do the layout of books. And I just kind of learned it from scratch. My boss, this was like 1992 or 3, and my boss literally said to me, you got to go find out what this thing called the internet is. And he sent me to a little community college class called the internet. So I could find out what it was for him. And he was like this computer guru guy. And he went on to do a lot of stuff. Anyway, it was a real like changing time.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of technology skills. I learned about this thing called the internet. And I coincidentally met a school librarian who was an international librarian. And it just hit me like, I want to be where the kids are getting the books instead of making the, I didn't want to be churning out the books as much as being where the kids are using the books.
Right.
And it just hit me like, oh my gosh, this could be an exciting job. Like you could travel the world, it wouldn't have to be maybe this stereotypical kind of job that everybody would have pegged me for when I was a kid because I was an absolute bookworm. And everyone would have said I was going to be a librarian. And I was probably like, no, I don't want to be what they think I'm going to be. But anyway, gave me the idea. I ended up getting my degree and have been in school libraries ever since. And like many people, I know that this is the greatest job, the best job in a school for sure. It's perfect. Feel like I kind of run my own business and do my own. I'm an entrepreneur. My product is
absolutely
reading. I get to do whatever fun events and promotions and, I really feel like I get to do what I want. And middle school, didn't know I would love middle school, but ended up, I love the level of books in middle school and, the way that the kids will do anything. You put any project out and they will do it.
Yeah.
They're so excited. They're like little kids. And then they can talk about, the deepest topics you can throw at them, so
there's such a great blend of the little just uninhibited and the older able to sort of express themselves clearly in a way that you can actually understand where they're trying to get to, which you can't always get from the little kids.
Right. And I really love the age group and the excitement that they have. And also they'll still listen to you somewhat. And they're still not super great at lying. You can
right.
tell.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So, you get, it's just fun. And I have fun every day and
absolutely
read a ton of books. And
we are definitely going to be talking books, but I gotta say, it's so interesting to me that you met an international educator librarian and that was sort of your take on what school librarianship could be. Because I think most people think of school librarian as you go and you sit and you're in the library and that's it. Like you're planted, but that's such a great perspective to have that this is a much bigger world.
I met her in passing. She would have no idea that she had influenced me. It just stuck. I was like, I could do that. Like this would not be a boring job. Like this with the whole internet technology aspect of it and the fact that you get, these summers off and you could do this internationally. I never did do it internationally, but it's still an exciting place to be.
Oh, absolutely.
And that was literally like, I can point to like this moment when I met this woman and I went home and I was like, that's what I could do. Like
that's awesome.
This could be my path.
Oh man. That's awesome.
I have to throw in a little bookish thing. If anyone's listening, the reason I met this woman is that I am a very, very lifelong fan of the Betsy Tacy books, which some people know about and some people don't, but they're a Minnesota author. Maud Hart Lovelace wrote this series and they're largely autobiographical. And I absolutely adored these books growing up. When I moved to Minnesota in my 20s, that's where the author was from Minnesota. And there was an event at my local Barnes & Noble because it was Maud Hart Lovelace's birthday or something. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's more people that like these books. So I went to that event. And it was through the people in that organization where I met this school librarian. So it all connected back to my absolute lifelong beloved books.
I love that. And I love that you said there's more people that like these books. Like that is such a great moment of books bringing people together. And it just, I always most people that I talk to seem to think that reading is a very solitary activity. And like, yes, you may be doing it by yourself, but there are so many social aspects to it. And I love that idea of, oh man, I get to talk to other people that like this author and like these stories. Like, that's such a great moment when you get to have that.
Yes, yes.
So speaking of books and making friends and all these awesome things, you have this really cool project that you're working on right now. And I mean, first of all, where'd the idea come from? Like, what was the genesis of this?
Okay, we're calling it the BFF campaign. And BFF stands for Your Book for Fun.
Love it.
And I can point to the exact genesis because I was very fortunate this year. I got to go to the School Library Journal Summit, which was near Baltimore this year. It was kind of a small gathering, but it's a great little conference that School Library Journal puts on. And there was a session about reading culture and promoting reading culture. And the person who was speaking was talking about how at his school, all the kids have to have a book with them all the time. And they call it their IRB. Said your independent reading book.
Okay.
And I was sitting there listening and I was like, my school we need a book in our hands all the time. We've gotten away from that. Things are rough in that area right now at my school. But I was thinking to myself, IRB is not catchy.
Yeah.
What could it be? And
yeah, I think of a doctoral degree and like I had to get my IRB review to make sure that I can do my surveys. Like IRB would not stick with me.
Right. And I was at a school before that had ORBs, which were outside reading books.
Oh.
And I was just sitting there like, what could it be? And somehow BFF came to my mind and I was like, what could that be? And Book for Fun came to me like, woo.
Awesome.
And I said, I am going to have BFF is going to be my theme. And I just got it sitting there listening. So I'm very grateful that I was at that conference just thinking about reading culture. And I kind of let it germinate. That conference was in the fall. And I've just been thinking about how can I unroll this. My school we've gone through deer times. And our mascot is the dragons. So for a while we did deer time and it was dragons excited about reading.
Ooh, I like
deer
that.
Time, which I loved.
Yeah.
And we had an academic coach everybody was reading during first period. You know, we had some momentum. Well, they keep taking away deer time. You know, you have to do other stuff during this class period where we used to read. So that's kind of gone away. I think we're in a national crisis, but we're in a county and school crisis, I think, because our ELA curriculum is now reading excerpts from works and answering questions. And every teacher should be doing the exact same thing on the exact same day. And we bought the online textbook where you're supposed to use excerpts and they will literally allow you to read 3 pages of Hatchet and try to have the kids determine how point of view affects the plot when you don't even know that a plane crashed or that his parents were getting divorced or anything. Like the teachers are so demoralized. They are basically not allowed to teach whole books anymore. ELA teachers are they're very upset at what's happening. It's very test prep and our reading scores are lower. We're not doing dare time anymore. ELA teachers feel like they're not allowed to read books. So I feel like we're in this reading slump. The BFF idea came to me. So I decided it's not a big formal program, but I decided we're going to do this. I need to think of all the ways that we can just make reading fun again. And this is about, our little line is everybody needs a BFF. And we want everybody to know what a BFF is and to carry around a BFF. And we want teachers to expect them to have a BFF and to have it with them in science and math and every class.
And what a great thing, like when you are making everybody aware, like, yes, this is going to be a school-wide thing and the kids should have a book with them all the time. And if they finish a test early, if they finish their assignment early in math or science or whatever, because it always seems like it falls to the English teachers to have to pick up that independent reading slack. And what a great opportunity to make this any place, anytime.
Exactly. And we've always needed this. It just felt like things kind of came together where we really need it right now.
Yeah.
And we're also, I hope, as a nation, we are swinging back on the technology use.
Here's hoping.
We're you're not supposed to have a cell phone out at all during the middle school day, which means there should be time to read, where kids used to literally be allowed to sit there on their phones. They can't.
We just got a cell phone ban bill passed. So in next school year, no phones in schools. So fingers crossed, we're going to see how that goes.
And we have it, although kids refuse, kids keep them in their pockets. They're still a little bit there, but it is so much better. We're on our second year of the expectation that we should not see phones. And they don't get them at lunch.
Oh, nice.
They are supposed to be put away in every class. But, teachers, you don't have enough time to collect and give back phones in every class.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But it is far better. There's no reason we should see them. And that I thought was good. We're also, I think, in a sort of swing back. We've been one-to-one Chromebooks for 5 or 6 years. I think we're now realizing they are playing games all the time behind our backs.
Yeah.
They all know how to get around the filter. So much of the sort of time that could be spent reading was just spent on Chromebooks.
Yeah.
So teachers are being much more conscious about you only open the Chromebooks when you need them.
Right.
They are not in your hands all the time. So
yeah, we're starting to move in that direction too.
I think there's just a realization like, wow, that wasn't the right thing. And we tried it. And, handwriting is great and reading books is great.
Absolutely. Well, and it kills me too, because before I went into school librarianship, I got a degree in administration and supervision. And one of the things they talk about is like getting the most bang for your buck. Like what's the least expensive way to get the most impact for your students? And there are so many studies that show us just having the kids enjoying reading will raise their scores. And we've got all these places that are cutting library programs, cutting libraries, cutting out deer time. And then they're spending all this money on these programs to like have the kids read excerpts and answer questions. Like that's going to make their test scores go up. It's like, no, you want to make their test scores go up. Just take that money, put it into some books and let the kids have some time to read. You're going to see those scores go up. It's just, it hurts. It hurts to see how some of this is going down these days. But I love that you are taking this initiative and saying, no, we are going to bring this back. Every kid's going to have a BFF.
Right. So I have a parent volunteer who's a graphic designer, and I went to her maybe in December, and I was like, "Could you whip us up a little dragon and a BFF?" And she did, because I think dragons is a great mascot. We love it.
Yeah.
So I've got a dragon, and it says, "Who's your BFF?" and the dragon's holding a book. So I had a little logo made, and really, we came back on January 4th or 5th, whatever the Monday was. We had a teacher work day. I was literally texting my principal on the Sunday before we went back. I'm like, are we having a staff meeting? And can I have 15 minutes? She knew this was coming and she's very supportive. But excellent. I didn't really know what was going on. But I was like, I think I need to roll this out. And she said, yes. I had a presentation halfway done between Sunday night and Monday at 9:30. I finished it up and I had already done some research. So I got in front of the staff, the entire staff. It was she gave a kind of back to school speech. I got up and I laid it out. I said, here's what's going on. The test scores are lower. The ELA teachers are not allowed to read books anymore. We need this, I said. And I laid out some of the research. There was a statistic that showed that kids who fail a 6th grade English class, 82% of those kids will not graduate from high school.
Wow.
Which really got people thinking like what we do matters so much in middle school.
Yeah.
And then there was other data, and I have links to those in the presentation that will be in the show notes, that was showing 15 minutes is sort of this magic number of if kids read 15 minutes a day for pleasure, fun reading, that's enough to bump those lower achievers to the next level. And reading 30 to 60 minutes a day is better. And there was also data saying this works across socioeconomic groups. It didn't matter. There was good data. There is good data showing the more you read, the better you do.
Yeah.
There was a lot of, how many vocabulary words. There was a lot of details. I ended up cutting most of it because for the staff meeting, I was like, I got to be quick.
Mm-hmm.
I need to make my point. So I said, this 82% don't graduate if they can't read in sixth grade. And then we did the 15 minutes a day is all it really takes. And then we showed them kind of the range of things, what we want from them. We want teachers to have a book on hand. We want teachers in all subject areas to ask kids, do you have a BFF? Get out your BFF. Whenever there's downtime, please have them reading. We have really nice posters that my library assistant is making. If any teacher who wants to pose with a book, we have kind of already plastered the school with, they just say, who's your BFF? And there's a teacher holding a book.
Oh, I love that.
And we have a few kids also in those posters. And I've decided that's going to be a prize of some sort for the kids who read. You're going to get to be in one of those posters. But for teachers, we're filling the halls with that. We also offered teachers those signs, and other people have done this. This is not my idea, but the signs that say, Miss Kochel is reading and you have room to put your book. I had never done that. I was really afraid that I didn't have enough teachers that would want to do it. But as part of this rollout, I've had quite a few teachers want those signs, and we made BFF themed ones with dragon fire and room for your book. So we've got, posters are around the hallways.
Love it.
We have a news crew that does a news show, and they do like features. It's not like a daily show. It's probably like once every 2 weeks we get a video to play to our first period classes. Okay. They're doing BFF features from here on out. They're always going to show just kids holding up a favorite book.
Love it.
We have a library Instagram, which we really don't have a ton of student followers, which is good because they shouldn't be on Instagram really anyway. But we're putting it out, there's librarians that follow us and different people. So we put it out that way. We do have Bean Stack. I haven't fully utilized it. I'm working on how to make that work. I'm not convinced that counting your minutes makes anybody love to read, but I think there's some kids that's going to work for. And so we're going to put up a BFF reading challenge. And I think we're going to offer the poster. You can be on a poster. We have a button maker. So we're going to be doing BFF buttons or something as a reward level.
That's very cool.
I've had kids brainstorming. We have 2 sizes of button makers. We have a little button maker, and kids want to make book cover buttons.
Ooh.
And so we're working on, like, we may just pick sort of like 10 of the sort of popular favorite books. And if you read those particular books, you can come get a button when you read them.
Like micro badges for your email, but real.
Right. Real buttons is something we're working on.
Love it.
I also made sure when I talked to the teachers that we talked about there is no reading shame.
Yes.
Reading is reading.
Yes.
Manga is reading. Graphic novels is reading.
Yes.
I wanted to say in front of the entire staff that what they choose is what they choose. And I don't, this is not about anybody shaming anybody. Audiobooks count.
Absolutely.
Anything counts. So
yes,
I did a real, that's pretty much what I told the staff. I had some data. I had some no shame. I said, here's our ideas. We're going to be doing this, this, and this. We're always making book recommendations. We already have a bunch of book clubs in our library.
That's great.
We already checked out more than 10,000 books in first semester. So
wow.
We're really, really we've been pushing reading, but there's just like a real feeling of everybody's on board. And the one of the coolest things is I've been encouraging teachers to read out loud, like read a novel out loud to your class. They're going to have an experience with a book that they cannot get anymore in an ELA class.
Yeah.
And I've had quite a few teachers. We have like a resource special education classroom teacher, and he's a coach. He came by to get copies of Long Way Down. And I walked by that classroom. He was reading Long Way Down out loud to this little class of kids. Like, It was beautiful. And they were just like putty in his hands. And I don't know that, I think he got the idea from this. We've had our school nurse came to us and wanted to be in a poster and wanted to make sure she had a book on her desk when kids
That's
come to the
awesome.
nurse. It's just, it's taken off. And I hope that we can maintain it. I don't think any individual idea I have is unique at all, but just the BFF part, I really like, and I wanted to share it because I think anybody could take the BFF term and use it. Like, I think it'd be great if around the country we suddenly hear about everybody having BFFs.
Yes, definitely. Oh man. And I love too that you kind of point out to the teachers that it's not that they have to, but that they kind of should be reading when the kids are reading. Like and I, as a former classroom teacher, like I get it. There's only so many hours in the day and you want to get stuff done. And if the kids are occupied, you want to, get some grading done or something like that. But I think it sends such a message to the students when they see the teachers reading that otherwise, because otherwise it just becomes, this is a thing students do because teachers told you to do it, as opposed to we are part of a reading community and we all read and we are all readers.
Right.
So it's really great that you've got teachers who are really getting on board and kind of taking that on.
Yeah, we're working on that. I've had teachers, I suggested First Chapter Friday and sent some resources. So I already have some teachers that are doing First Chapter Fridays.
Cool.
Trying that out. All these things that we have in our toolbox, we're just sort of trying to brand them all as BFFs and
it's great. I also see you've got the idea here of doing read alouds while waiting on buses. What a great idea that is. Holy smokes.
And I think that was our art teacher who said, I want to do this for the bus kids because the kids who get the last bus are the kids who need this the most. Mm-hmm. And they're sitting on their phones for maybe a half hour. We have really late buses. So we, different people have come with different ways that they can make it work. But
that'd also be great. Like if you were doing a field trip or something, if the teacher kind of organizing the bus had a book to read while the kids were, either while you're getting attendance while they're all, getting on the bus, or while you're on your way someplace, or if you're stuck waiting somewhere, like just whip out a book and hey, let's read some
that would be awesome. That would be another great idea.
Man, there's so many awesome things you were doing here with this. It's like you're just really bringing together so many awesome threads and making this something that is just about joy, just about reading joy.
Yeah, and I made a little modified version of my presentation for the students. So as I have kids come through the library, some teachers have already shown kids they've told them about it and they're good, but I'm like, I want to make sure the kids hear it. So I'm telling the kids, I'm giving them those two stats, about 15 minutes a day and not graduating. And I'm just telling them, hey, this is just about practice, and the way to get better at reading is to read. And the way to do that is to read what you want to read. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling them, don't let anybody tell you what you like is not reading, because this is about you. So I'm hitting up the kids now. And just last week, we kind of rolled this out for kids on Tuesday. By Wednesday, a 7th grade boy walked in the library and he's like, I need a BFF. So I was like, hey, it's awesome. Working. It's working.
Seriously.
And
that's so great.
A few, I heard only one person said that there were 8th graders who thought it was cringe. But in general, I don't even think the kids are rolling their eyes too much. And if they are, whatever,
Yeah. I mean,
it
that's
might be
also
cringe, but
that's part of being a middle schooler too. Everything is cringe. So
right. But I really think I have heard absolute non-cringy kids referring to BFFs like it's what we call it, like it's always been that, so.
That's so great. That's when you really kind of hit the nail on the head, when people just adopt it and it just feels like it's always been part of what's been going on.
Yeah.
So cool. Man. Now, I know you're just kicking this off, so we're going to have to do a follow-up at some point where we can see how things are going. But there's just the slide deck that you shared has some awesome ideas in it. It's got your logo with your dragon reading. That's so cool. You're so lucky to have a graphic designer. I got to talk to my graphic design teacher and see what I can have him whip up for us. But
to be honest, I think Canva can make anybody a logo, somebody holding a book that says BFF. So
right.
We now all have the ability to get a pretty good little logo. That's
fair.
Our counselors came in the next day and said, we want t-shirts.
Ooh.
So we have this logo. We own the logo. So we're working on BFF t-shirts.
That's cool, man. There's so many things you could do with this. Oh, it's so awesome. It's so awesome. I'm so glad that you wanted to come and share this, because it's books for fun. That's what it should be. Books for fun.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I don't know if I'll ever really have follow-up data, because if our reading scores go up, they're going to say it's because of this reading curriculum
yeah,
where they're
yeah.
reading excerpts, but we're going to know, no, it's
Mm-hmm.
because we got the kids reading.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we'll ever prove that it was us.
But even if all you do is build a culture that feels like reading is part of what you do, as not even just at school, but just like generally that human beings should be reading,
Yes.
that by itself, like, yes, absolutely, you deserve the credit for doing what you're doing, but also that just knowing that you are putting this good into the world and making the students' worlds larger by helping them see this.
Right. And it's not that I care so much about test scores. I would love to prove that reading helped the test scores,
Yes.
not excerpts and questions.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
I do agree. Like, what I really want is kids who will go through life reading books and read whole books, because we're there's been New York Times articles, Atlantic articles. Kids are getting to Harvard having never read a whole book.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a literate person reading these articles, it's happening everywhere. We're not finishing books.
Yeah.
Which is part of why I think teachers reading out loud to kids in middle school is almost essential, because they're going to finish a book and have an experience with a book where they might not have on their own. And, with English language learners and kids who
Uh-huh.
struggle to read,
Uh-huh.
we don't know how often they've ever finished a book,
Yeah.
and just they need the feeling, the experience, the joy of a story, that will stick with them. So
Absolutely. And also I think they need the sense of accomplishment of I did this thing. Like, it's so easy for them to just walk away from stuff and never finish anything these days. So like, even that experience within the reading I think is valuable for them too. And, the grit and the stamina to go through a whole book, lots of
right.
elements that get tied in.
Yeah, that stamina, I like that word, because I think we need to not only talk to teachers about stamina, but talk to the kids about it, because
Mm-hmm.
a lifelong person who loves to read, I sit there at night on my phone and I have self-control, right? Like, I should be able to do better, and we're asking 11 and 12-year-olds
Oh yeah.
to have that to make that choice. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we've got to give them time at school and build that muscle so that
Yes.
maybe they'll do it at home. But I think we have to assume maybe they won't do it at home. But
Mm-hmm.
if we build that muscle up at school, they're going to be more likely to do it at home. So
Absolutely. And so much of it comes down to, are they enjoying what they're doing? So that you're focusing this on just having enjoyment of the reading. Because if they don't enjoy it, like, they're not going to, doesn't matter how much you bang them over the head, they're not going to do it if they don't want to do it. So hooking them in with whatever it is that makes you happy, whatever it is you want to read, no shame, no judgment, just we're going to find the thing that works for you. That to me is the greatest thing we can do for students,
yeah, I agree. And that's our life work,
Yes.
like, if we retire someday and we say, kids read,
Mm-hmm.
kids love to read. There's kids that remember a book because we recommended it. We handed it to them. We book talked it. I mean, we may never know with some of those kids, but,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Probably won't know for most of them, but
no, not,
kind of have to take it on faith that you put it out there and you did the things you could do. And some kids picked up books that they wouldn't have otherwise picked up. So there's
yeah.
nothing wrong
And
with that.
I actually had one of my friend's daughters was dating a boy, and it turned out, well, he had gone to my middle school, and
Yeah.
he was now 21 years old or something. And I met him and I said, oh, hey, hi, I was your school librarian. And he's like, you recommended Steelheart to me. And I was like, that's like the best thing you could say to me. Like, he
Yeah.
remembered the book that I had recommended to him.
That's awesome,
So,
man.
if that kid remembered that, how many other kids are remembering that?
Absolutely.
And remembering whatever their teacher read to them. So I feel like if I make a good recommendation to a teacher, like, you should read Long Way Down, guaranteed they will love this book.
Mm-hmm.
I will never know. Those kids will remember Coach Bailey reading it, but if I'm the one that told him about it, then I've done my job. So.
It's ripples. We ripple through the world. I love it. Well, this is awesome, and I am so glad you came to share this. And I think we are at the point where we're going to take our 90-degree turn and go into our book break.
Book break. Squiddy.
All right.
So anything you want to share, bring it on. And I believe we're going to not just talk books specifically, but also generally, I think we're going to talk a little bit about books.
Right. Do you want me to talk about a book or talk about the Young Teen Lit first?
Let's start with Young Teen Lit first.
Okay. I have been on a bit of a mission for the last several years. As I told you, I've been a middle school librarian for, I've been in the business like 28 years. I feel like I've cycled through, I've been in the golden age of the Hunger Games and the Maze Runner and Speak and Alex Rider, all these books that had 7th and 8th graders just crazy about books.
Yes.
And it was an era when you could, all of those books, Hunger Games and things like, I remember reading Hunger Games and thinking, oh, I wouldn't give this to the 6th graders maybe, but I would, 7th and 8th graders are really going to resonate with this.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure Katniss was 15 or 16 in those. She wasn't too beyond their age, but this had heavy topics.
Oh yeah.
Same with most of these other ones that I'm talking about. They would feature a 14 or a 15 or a 16-year-old. Speak had a 14-year-old who had been assaulted, and Alex Rider was 14, and he stayed 14 for a long time through a lot of books. So I feel like there was this age where there were books that were great for 7th and 8th graders. And I have noticed over the last probably 10 to 15 years that there's no more characters that are 14 or 15 in books. Yeah. It is almost impossible. And for whatever reason, the publishing industry has decided we have middle grade and we have young adult. And if you look at a middle grade book, it will have a main character that is 12 years old.
Yep.
I would like to do a study, but I would wager 90% of the time it will have a 12-year-old main character, which is great. If you're an 8 to 12-year-old, you want to read up. You want to read about this maybe 6th grader or something.
Yeah. Well, that's it. They're all 5th and 6th graders. And there's some great books about 5th and 6th graders.
Right.
But they're 5th and 6th graders.
If middle grade is for 8 to 12-year-olds, that's great. But they now try to tell us that middle grade is for 8 to 14-year-olds.
Yeah. And
then they have these like upper middle grade books. But sometimes there's a 13-year-old. They have childish looking covers. They look like a little kid, but they want to be a little older to tell us that they're writing books for us, but they're not meeting our needs. So these middle grade books are like 8 to 12-year-old books, I would say. And they're lovely and fine, but when you're a 7th grader who's ready for, the Hunger Games, or they're out to get us, or, murder mysteries, which is so popular right now.
Yes.
You're not getting that with your 12-year-old characters. And then young adult books, which I'm going to go out a limb and blame it on Twilight, when all the middle-aged women got into young adult books. They have 17-year-old characters and older. And there's actually been a study. I met Allie Watkins was her name. She had a session at the ALA conference. She has done the research from the last 10 years. I believe 90% of young adult books that have been bestsellers from maybe 2014 to 2020, 24 have had a 16 or 17-year-old main character, or 18 or 19 or older. There's just no room in either category. There is not room for characters in the middle.
Yeah.
So all that to say, that has been something that just drives me crazy. You look at a book, you order these books, you get them in, they're like, oh, that's about a 12-year-old. That's about a 17-year-old. They're all at those edges.
Yep.
So I wrote an article that was published in the Teen Librarian Toolbox blog on School Library Journal a year and a half ago. And I called it like my manifesto for middle school books. And I was just saying, here's what we need in middle school books. And then a librarian in Michigan named Christina Chattel. At the same time, she wrote for Teen Librarian Toolbox, she wrote about the problem of long books. How so many books are 300 to 400 pages.
Mm-hmm.
We need shorter books because our 7th and 8th graders who are not readers or don't identify as readers, that is a non-starter to pick up a big book.
Yeah.
So she wrote that. She was on, we both ended up on Amy Herman's podcast, the School Librarians United. I had gone on the podcast and I said, I don't know how to fix the problem of books for middle schoolers, but if anyone wants to help me, contact me. So Christina contacted me. We got on a Zoom together and we teamed up and we decided we're going to start a campaign.
Yes.
We came up with a name for it. We're calling it Young Teen Lit.
Yes.
Because we're not talking about tweens. 11 and 12-year-olds are well covered.
Mm-hmm.
Young Teen Lit to us is really your 13, 14, even 15-year-olds, because high school librarians have been telling us there's nothing for 9th graders out there either.
Yeah.
They're just a summer older than an 8th grader.
Yeah.
So our age range that we're calling Young Teen Lit is really 12 to 15 because we put 2 numbers on the end, but we want books for those 13 and 14-year-olds more than anything.
Yep.
We came up with 6 criteria for Young Teen Lit. We've written some articles. We've been on some podcasts. We've both presented at our state associations. We've got some upcoming places we're presenting.
Love it.
But
That's
just kind of summarize, we have 6 criteria. We believe that there is a lack of books for young teens. And what we are looking for is books that are appropriate for 12 to 15-year-olds. They can have complex and edgy themes. They should deal with hard topics. And they should have main characters that are like 8th to 10th graders.
Yes.
And if a book is recommended for grades 3 to 5, it is not a Young Teen Lit. It's just by definition not.
Yep.
Because you've seen it. They try to say, oh, this book's recommended for 3rd through 8th grade. Like, then it's not recommended for 8th grade. Like, let's be real. They might be lovely books that some middle schools might like, but it is not for 8th graders if it is for 3rd graders. So
yes, absolutely. And I would even argue that, like, not only 3rd through 8th, but like if it's got 5th grade in there,
no, they're not going to read it. Yeah. We need main characters that are literally 8th, 9th, and 10th graders.
Yeah.
And that's so 7th, 8th, and 9th graders will want to read about them because you don't even often kids want to read at least one grade level older than they are. And we've been seeing a lot of actual 13-year-olds lately. Like, people are maybe writing 13-year-old characters, but to get an actual 14 or 15-year-old is still hard.
Yeah.
So that criteria 1 is mostly getting those ages, the ages of the characters older. Criteria number 2 of Young Teen Lit is we want to see diversity in all genres. And that we especially need murder mysteries, romance, horror, adventure, sports, and humor.
Yes.
It feels like there's enough realistic. I think fantasy is kind of the realm of good readers and they're doing okay. But horror and murder mystery, I think, is what kids who watch a lot of movies and TV want.
Absolutely.
And those are not,
they're not getting on the shelf. Yeah.
Right. So we want those genres, and we want to acknowledge, like, the diversity we've had in recent years is incredible. And the more we can continue to have diversity is great.
Absolutely.
Our 3rd criteria is about the length of the book. We just need shorter books. They still need to be complex and edgy and have older characters. We're not looking for 5th graders in shorter books, but we need shorter books. Our 4th criteria is the covers. They've got to appeal to older kids. They need to look more like YA books.
Yes.
They cannot be like a watercolor painting of a couple of sad kids,
right?
Which, we know it when you see it. If they made something that looks older, we can tell. Our criteria number 5 is format. Young teens have really responded to Long Way Down and The Poet X and those novels in verse. The fewer the words on the page, sometimes the better. I don't think they care that it's poetry. They care that it's not a wall of text, that it's easier for them to get through and they can achieve. But kids also have really responded to, obviously, graphic novels, If books have a lot of texting or messaging or something like that, they tend to go for the variety of formats. So
Yeah.
we believe that young teen books should be written in a variety of formats and should reflect how teens are communicating with each other.
Yes.
You know, at least some of them. We're not saying everything needs to be in text, but
and what a great open field for an author to step into and say, yes, that's what I'm going to run with.
Yes. And if you've seen any of the Game Changer books by Tommy Greenwald, they're sports related. They're about 8th graders and they're all in messages and text. It's a good example.
Okay.
He's doing that. And obviously there's a lot of novels in verse and graphic novels. And our final criteria for young teen lit is we need highly engaging books that are going to get kids excited about reading. And that's going to involve compelling plot lines, shorter chapters, and we need more mass appeal. And it's hard to quantify that, but we know, like, we could use another Hunger Games, you know, we could use Wimpy Kid aged up because we need humor, but we need it a little older. And there's lovely, lovely books that come in that are sort of esoteric and sad or whatever, but we have a need for some mass appeal. Like, there are certain kids who will not pick something up unless it is sort of sensational. It's the next best thing. It's the next Good Girl's Guide to Murder, whatever. So
it doesn't necessarily need to have the flowery language and the poetic, you know, it doesn't need to get into the depth of a variety of English elements and figurative language and stuff. Just like get us a story, keep it moving along.
Yeah, like, you know, a good spy story or a good mystery.
Yeah.
And we're really, our 6 criteria, we're really aiming this at publishers. It's like, we are reading and these books are not out there. You know, there's a handful here and there, but we don't think they're getting published. So we're trying to get the word out. Librarians just nod their heads at us. They're like, yes, we agree. We've had a lot of interaction with booksellers. Booksellers are like, yes, we don't know what to recommend to that 7th grader who comes in our bookstore. We're afraid to give them a YA book because we don't know how racy that YA book is.
Yeah.
Because that's the other issue with YA characters being 17. There's a lot more, you know, there's raciness going on there that just does not fly in a middle school. So
I think it's perfectly appropriate for that to be in a YA book because those readers are dealing with those issues. But hopefully our middle school students are not dealing with those issues yet. So,
or they're
not that
dealing
they can't,
with,
but
you know, you can deal with these edgy topics. I mean, Speak, I think, is an amazing example. That is a 14-year-old girl who is sexually assaulted. Kids are interested in that book. They have been for 30 years. And it is fully appropriate in a middle school library. Like, it's essential, but it is not salacious or too sexy. You know, it's not aimed at your middle-aged woman who really wants to read. You know, it also seems like so much of young adult is dark academia and romantasy. There's a very female bent to it too.
Yes.
So, and we don't have it in our criteria, but it's hard to just find books that boys are going to want. And there are sort of our top reluctant readers, you know?
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
So we've been just trying to get the word out about the books we need. We have a website and we've been putting together some really great lists. If people are out there wondering what they can recommend to those like 13, 14-year-old kids, we have a whole list of, we have horror and suspense, we have sports, we have realistic, we have kind of a general list. So it's youngteenlit.com. We're posting a lot of resources. We're also on Bluesky and Instagram, trying to get publishers to see what we're doing. And a lot of authors are responding to our social media and saying, I've written a book and I can't get a publisher to take it. And I want to write that book, but they tell me I have to change that character to be 12.
Man,
so
I feel like the publishers are leaving money on the table here. Like, you've got a built-in audience for this stuff.
You know what? An author who I met told me this, that they think that if a book, they think that the money is in younger kids. If a book does not sell to a 3rd grader, you're not going to sell it. That's why they want it to be 12. They want you to cover your bases. They will tell the authors you got to make the character 12 because parents are buying books for 3rd and 4th and 5th graders. But by middle school, you're in limbo. And then as far as the older kids go, they will tell authors you have to age that character up. They have to be 17 or 18 because people in their 20s are buying these books. And there's money there and there's money there, but they don't think there's money in the middle.
Oh my gosh, it just boggles my mind so much.
I know. And I'm like, you have no idea if somebody wrote the next Wimpy Kid for older kids, how rich they would be. And I know you can't just produce the next funny book. Humor is very hard, but boy, look at The Good Girl's Guide to Murder. If we had more of that, just one notch down, it's still middle school kids still read it, but it's a notch. It could be notched down one notch and be a little more appropriate, and it would still be amazing. I don't think it would take away from how great it is. So
I completely agree.
I think there's money in the middle, but
I mean, I'd be buying them. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Well, we would be. But,
I've got a question for you. So you were talking about shorter books, and I agree. Like, definitely a length can be a turnoff for some students. I'm just kind of curious, like, in your mind, does would that maybe translate potentially into like a series of shorter books? Or is it more like short one shot, like we're getting in and out, getting out?
I think it could be anything. I just think it's very daunting. A 400-page book is very daunting.
Yeah.
And if you're going to write something, we need a certain amount of books that are in that maybe 150 to 250 page range. I'm having a lot of luck with Louder Than Hunger, which is a big fat book. John Shue, the character's an 8th grader. But I literally have to hold that open. I screenshot it on my screen. I say, there are not very many words on the page. And because it deals with mental health and eating disorders, there's kids that want, they want to read about hard stuff. And it's a big fat book, but it does not have a lot of words on the page. But I would say there's a huge amount of kids who will not touch a big fat chapter book.
Yeah.
So absolutely. I don't think I would care what it was, but if someone can write a good, solid story that's a little slimmer than what they're writing, that could really be the bridge that some kid will, that will allow some kid to even consider picking that book up.
Yeah.
And also, I will say, I think there's money in slimmer books also because teachers really want to do read alouds with their kids. Yes. But they cannot get through a 400-page read aloud chapter book. Like, frequently, one of the criteria when they come and ask me, like, I need a really good book, but I only have 10 minutes a day and we only have this much time. So, just in the interest, if you're going to write the next Wonder or Holes or whatever's the next big thing, those get read aloud. Those are probably at the upper end of what you can read aloud. But, that or smaller is probably going to get you more teachers reading it aloud.
And hopefully, as the pendulum swings away from excerpts and back toward actually reading books, like, it would be awesome as a classroom teacher to have a shorter novel that I could do with my class instead of having to spend an entire marking period just reading it, just getting through the reading of it, being able to read it and then discuss it and analyze it.
Yeah.
That'd be so great.
100%. So I think, I don't know why so many books are long, if publishers want that or if authors are writing long books, but it just feels like, we want everything, but we want it in a little shorter package. And there's room for some other big books, there's room for everything, but.
Absolutely. But definitely there's holes. There's holes in the market right now, I feel like.
Yeah. For sure.
Well, this is definitely something that I think is awesome. I'm so glad that you guys are talking about this. I had Christina on a while back and she talked about a bit about it, and I'm so glad you came back to remind us because this is important stuff. And hopefully someone out there is going to have the ear of a publisher and say, hey, what are you doing? You're missing out here. So
yeah, we're working. So if people want to support the movement, follow us on Instagram and Bluesky and repost what we post. The more you comment and repost, the more people see it. If you go to a conference, go up to those publishers and say, what do you have with a 14-year-old narrator? Can you give me a murder mystery that's appropriate for middle school?
Yeah.
The more they're hearing.
Yep, exactly.
That people want it, that does help, we think.
Yeah.
I did also, I have a couple of books to mention.
Yes, please
if I
do.
still have time.
Absolutely.
One of them I just finished reading. It comes out this spring. It was just such an incredible example of young teen lit. It's called One Word, Six Letters. It's by Adib Khorram, and he is the author of Darius the Great Is Not Okay, which
just
is
read that recently. Blew me away. So good.
He's a really excellent writer, Iranian American. One Word, Six Letters is about ninth graders, which is rare. It is classified as young adult, which is great because it's one of those rare young adults that is actually about a younger teen. There's two boys who are the characters. One of these boys is at a school assembly, and he is dared to yell a homophobic slur, which he does. So he yells this word at this assembly. He is hauled out of the assembly. He's suspended from school. But he's just like, oh, they dared me $10. I didn't hurt anybody. It was no big deal. So part of this is just about like, how do you convince somebody that what they did was a big deal? So he's losing all his friends. His friends are not having it. They're like, we didn't know you were this way and we're done with you. So he is having his own arc through ninth grade. The other character in the book is an Iranian American character who is wrestling with his own identity, suspecting that he is himself gay. And he's hearing this one word a lot in the hallways. And it's his ninth grade year and kind of how they intersect. So the word that is shouted out is never said in this book, which is kind of cool. Like, we figure out what it is, but you know, he wrote this whole book without saying. I got the book on NetGalley. I don't actually know how long it was, but it didn't take me all that long to read. It's got two perspectives. It's really like 8th, 9th grade. It's boy humor. It's not, you would never give this book to a 3rd or 4th grader, but it is like a great book for younger teens.
Okay.
So that's One Word, Six Letters. The other one that is just so delightful that I want everyone to know about is, it's called The Scott Fenwick Diaries. It's by Kristen Nilsson. And it is a younger teen romance book. It's on the very young end of young teen lit, but our character's 13. It's basically her first real crush. And there was a previous book by this author about this character, Millie, and it's called Worldwide Crush, and it's her crush on a celebrity. Delightful also. Scott Fenwick Diaries is Millie after the crush with Rory Calhoun, the singer. She has a boy actually like her at her school. And, you know, what do you do? How do you act? So this is like an actual 7th grade romance. It's just hilarious. She is in the realm of Judy Blume. Like, it's she's so funny. It's delightful as a middle-aged woman to read this because there's so much humor in there for us. You know, she's referencing Little House on the Prairie and The Sound of Music, and the grandma is very funny. And anyway, it's a delight. It's super well written. So Worldwide Crush and Scott Fenwick Diaries together will fit really well into a middle school collection.
Okay.
And Kristen Nilsson, who wrote it, she is a librarian. She is a bookseller. She is an author of these books, and she's a podcast host of a Pop Culture Preservation Society, which is like sort of a Gen X pop culture podcast, which is delightful too. So
nice. Okay.
So both of those I would recommend.
Awesome. Those are great. I mean, those sound awesome. I'm just kind of curious. The Scott Fenwick Diaries, is it like a true sequel that like you're going to have trouble if you don't read the first one, or is it? I
honestly don't think you would have to. I think kids might want to, but it's really, you don't need to know what happened. You could totally read it as a standalone.
Okay.
But they're both delightful. They're both 7th grade. I think she's in 7th grade in both of them, but yeah, you really could pick it up and not have to know about her whole celebrity crush that she had. But
whenever you get characters that are kind of traversing their lives throughout different books, it's always interesting to sort of see which one grabs your reader versus the other one, you know, because I don't know why the Scott Fenwick Diaries sounds like something that I could hand a kid and they would absolutely eat it up. And then I can see them coming back and
They
going,
might
are
go
there
back,
more like this?
right.
And then making sure that they get their hands on the first one.
And it's a pretty funny story. I've heard Kristen Nielsen talk about this book on her podcast. And Scott Fenwick was actually a boy in her like 5th grade class that she was enamored with. And she wrote this whole book and she just used this Scott Fenwick name. And then when she found out that they were going to use his name in the title of the book, she realized, like, I got to find Scott Fenwick because he's a 55-year-old man somewhere who's going to hear about this book. So she had to like track him down and say, I was in your 5th grade class and I had a crush on you and I've now written this book. And he said, okay. But Scott Fenwick is an actual middle-aged man.
That's amazing. So. Man. Well, not only great book recommendations, but great podcast recommendations and great reminders that we should be thinking about our young teens and getting them some lit and BFFs. I mean, just all of this is so awesome. So just makes me smile, makes me feel good that we are putting good into the world and helping kids find stuff that they're just going to love. And that's awesome. So thank you so much for coming and sharing all this.
Well, thank you for all the sharing that people do. It's fantastic to hear these conversations. I get so much out of everyone I listen to. So
thanks.
Appreciate what you're doing.
I just love having the conversations because everybody's just always got so many interesting thoughts and ideas and, it's all just so good to have these conversations together. So we've got people, if they want to find you for Young Teen Lit, they know where to go looking for you. If they want to find you in particular, is there any place they might want to go looking? All
of our Young Teen Lit handles and everything is on the website, youngteenlit.com. Personally, my school library we have an Instagram of what's going on in our library, and that's at DHMS Library.
Awesome. Folks, keep an eye on it. You're going to see good stuff. You're going to see good stuff coming out of this library. You don't want to miss it. Thank you so much, Marcia. I really appreciate you taking the time and coming to share this idea with us. It's so great. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the SLLN podcast. Be sure to check out the show notes for the episode. They feature links to resources shared by our guest, as well as ways to keep in touch with them, and links to the book break titles. I'd love to hear from you. If you have feedback, a comment, an idea, a question, or something you want to share, you can email drtlovesbooks@gmail.com. That's drtlovesbooks@gmail.com. Know a librarian with something we could learn from? Let us know. Until next time, be good, be safe, and be well.